Hello and welcome to Straight Talk. I'm Ayşe Süberker. Kosovo is no stranger to ethnic tensions, especially in the country's north, where Albanians and Serbs live together in an uneasy peace. But last week's clashes were different. Violence between the two groups spread to NATO peacekeepers, with at least 25 troops injured. To help bolster NATO's presence, Turkish troops arrived in Kosovo as part of a larger deployment by the alliance to quell simmering tensions. A Turkish commando battalion from the 65th Mechanized Infantry Brigade arrived on Monday at Camp Sultan Murat in Prizren. A NATO statement said that the additional troops would remain in Kosovo for as long as necessary. Turkiye has been part of NATO's KFOR peacekeeping missions since the late 1990s, following a bloody war between Serbia and its then province of Kosovo. The latest round of violence started after local Serbs fought NATO troops and Kosovo police as they tried to block ethnic Albanian mayors taking office who had won local elections that Serbs mostly boycotted. And to further discuss the situation in Kosovo and the Turkiye-NATO peacekeeping partnership in the Balkans, joining me now from Krakow, Poland, is Jakub Bielamovic. He is an analyst at the Institute of New Europe. And from Belgrade, Darko Trifunovic. He is the director of the Institute for National and International Security. Gentlemen, welcome to Straight Talk. It's good to have you on the program. Jakub, let me begin with you. Could you walk us through what's been happening in Kosovo? What's the reason behind rising tensions in the country's north?
The root cause of the problem is the non-recognition of Kosovo's independence by Serbia. Which was declared in 2008. But if we look just at the most recent events, we will see that the recent tensions started last year in the summer, and they just continue since then. And the reason for these tensions is the pursuit of the current Kosovo authorities to consolidate its state, to close open issues in the north, and to better integrate Kosovo Serbs into their institutions and the country and the society. And so it's the efforts by the Kosovo government resulted in late 2022 in a boycott by Kosovo Serb structures. Yes. By the Kosovo Serb structures, and so they left the Kosovo institutions, including the police, judiciary, and the municipalities. And that's why this is when the problems, the most recent problems started. And Kosovo.
So, Darko, how tense is the situation in the country now, and is stability under threat in Kosovo and the wider region?
Of course, we understand that there is segments of the Russian intelligence from both sides trying to destabilize and misuse the situation. And we are all urging also Serbian politicians and Albanian politicians to finally come down and to fulfill international obligations. Number one, Mr. Kurti, he now, we can say for the years, he is refusing to set up community of Serbian municipalities. And it was clearly that also European and American envoys are requesting creation of the Serbian Association of the Serbian Municipalities, and that is reasons for the recent instability. But we can see both players have some kind of the Russian influence, because you don't send special force to solve political issue. You send politicians, and then you have these images that Serbs and Albanians both, that we are now basically in the hands of some foreign, let's say, foreign powers that playing some geopolitical games.
Yes. So, Jakub, Turkey has sent a commando battalion to Kosovo following a request from NATO's Joint Command Force in Naples. What difference could Turkish forces make in de-escalating tensions in the country's north?
So I think there are two layers here. So first is the political message that is being sent out from the NATO, including Turkey, that the situation on the ground has become very unstable, and we're just surging the number of troops to calm the situation on the ground. And the other thing is just the security aspect. I think what we saw last week was a major escalation that we haven't seen for more than a decade. And 30 troops of the peacekeeping NATO-led force got wounded. So this is something almost unprecedented in this region. So that's why I think Turkiye is just using the opportunity to show its presence, to strengthen its activity on the ground. Also because of the rotation of the command that Turkiye will take over still this year in autumn. And I think we will see just an increased activity by the Turkish state.
So, Darka, Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić has threatened in the past to send troops into Kosovo to protect a local Serbian minority. How has that fueled tensions, and is this a genuine threat? And what's the situation there? I mean, is the local Serbian minority under threat in that region?
Of course, they are living in some kind of the ghetto in heart of the Europe in 21st century, and we have a history of the violence. Just if you take last 2 years, you will see that some segments are extreme among Albanians, not all, of course, shooting Serbian kids, banning people coming to the cemetery, etc., etc. So the history of the violence never stops. It is all under the democratically elected Prime Minister, Mr. Kurti. So obviously, there is nothing new in this part of the world. But I have to say something very important, that Russia waging hybrid warfare in Serbia. What Russia doing in Ukraine, killing Ukrainians, they are doing the same things in Serbia, waging directly hybrid warfare. And that's without help of the West, without understanding what is going on. In my own country, it is difficult to understand and predict what will be the next. Because in all 5 segments, Russia is waging hybrid warfare here, and we are struggling. You see the people on the street of the Belgrade, you see politicians, you see also academicians giving their voice up. But also what the President Vučić can do by himself, if he's only alone, without understanding what Russia is capable to do in Serbia, not only in Serbia, but entire Balkan.
But where does this leave other regional players and, of course, the European Union? Because we know it has this relatively strong approach to the unrest. And we have, as we've briefly mentioned, like Germany, France, and the US criticized Kosovo. So doesn't it leave ground to Russia already?
Of course, but Russia is present here, and it will take a time. And the people of Serbia and Kosovo and people of the entire Balkan, it takes time that we also first understand how Russia waging hybrid warfare, that we can do the countermeasures, because they enter and they penetrate to our national medias, they penetrate everywhere, and like in Ukraine before 2019. With arrival of democratically elected President Zelensky, everything changed. But we don't see this in the Balkan. We don't see strong support of the European Union. Number one, to democratic process and to understand the gravity of the.
So, Jakub, Turkey has made very big investments in Serbia while maintaining strong historic and cultural ties with Kosovo and, of course, the rest of the Balkans. So how does it keep the balance between the two countries, especially amid this unrest?
So I think there is some sense of maybe injustice in the region, not only Kosovo, but also in Bosnia and Herzegovina, that the investments which create prosperity, which create jobs, which add to the improvement of the standard of living in these countries, they mostly go to Serbia, which is also from the economic and geographic point of view, it is understandable. This is the biggest country and the biggest economy in the region, also centrally located. But at the same time, Turkey invests into the construction of mosques, into the development of religious foundations in these countries, which is, of course, appreciated by the local populations. But to increase the presence on the ground, Turkey would be highly encouraged also to invest more in Kosovo and Bosnia and Herzegovina. Then its image and also its leverage would be even more balanced than it is now.
So, Darko, how could Turkey deepen its relations, mostly its economic ties with Kosovo, without upsetting Serbia and maybe Russia?
No, definitely they will not upset Russia, because the current prime minister of Kosovo, he actually belonged to the circle of all Leninist Marxist movement of Adem Demaci. Albin Kurti is just out of this circle. He is inside, and this is directly under control of Russia. And new sanctions, a new approach of the West, NATO, and two envoys from EU and US actually are directed, and all their efforts are directed now to calm down Mr. Kurti. As well, we don't need any kind of confrontation, and I will repeat, you don't send special force on the north to solve political issue. What Mr. Kurti, despite the warnings from the West, from Europeans, from everyone's, what he did it. So we need de-escalation of the conflict. We need returning to the peace talks, diplomacy.
Okay, so speaking of peace talks, Jakub, in an unusual move, countries like Germany, France, and the US, which historically were very close with Kosovo, are being critical of Pristina. Why do you think this has played out like that? And why has the US slapped sanctions on Kosovo and shied away from criticizing Serbia and Serbs?
So first of all, this is the primary reason behind it is the fear of opening another front in Europe, while there is already one war going on in the eastern part of Europe. So this is the first thing. So that's why they're hesitant to stir up tensions in other places. So that's why they do everything they can just to stabilize the situation, even at the expense of long-term, more sustainable solutions. And the other thing is that the United States and also the European Union, they just selected the authoritarian regime in Belgrade as their guarantor of stability in the region. So that's why they do everything they can to appease this regime in Belgrade, even at the cost of, at the expense of traditional allies like Kosovo, which is governed by a democratically elected government, pro-Western, pro-European, and which has improved a lot over the past few years, both in terms of tackling corruption, improving the media freedom, and also just helping the local civil society grow. So that's why I think it's a failed policy, and that's why it will only create further tensions that we will most likely observe over the coming months or even years.
All right, gentlemen. Unfortunately, we'll have to leave it here. Thank you very much for joining me on Straight Talk.